mom came into the room and she's like, "Look at my phone," and then I couldn't see it, so I had to look at mine. I'm like, "Oh,
I can't bet against Tom Brady. I have the Bucks winning 31-27, and Tom Brady going to his 10th championship.
yeah." And I really think the Clippers' chance to win the championship was last year, and they were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets.
Chris Paul is one of the most underrated players of all time. He's been the best player wherever he goes, and that includes with the Rockets.
You said you can't bet against Tom Brady, and as a Cowboys fan and what I just did last weekend, I am not going to bet against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. I mean, that's all I can really say. There's two of the top 5 players in the league, and they are very, very good.
Hello, I'm Taylor Hearn, and you listen to The Outsiders' Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. And I am joined by the man that did not do something bad, but we are going to talk about something bad. And that's now it's gotten better. Austin.
Yeah, this was definitely a concerning sign, especially for a team that had such a good record throughout the years, have yet to have a below 500 season and forever. But this needed to be done.
Yeah, so we're recording just mere hours after the Steelers earned 400 yards, had a game featuring 400 plus yards of total offense. The last time they did that before today was in week 2 of the 2020 season, which was 1,162 days ago. Now, the offense wasn't really explosive, didn't put a lot of points on the board. They had only 16. A lot of those, I think, were field goals, but we don't want to harp too much on Matt Canada, but the thing I want to bring to you is this was like when we talk about in-season firings and making a change, it seemed like this was long overdue, and this is something the Steelers really haven't had to deal with because this was the first in-season firing for anyone in the Steelers since 1941, which just goes to the level of excellence with the Steelers and just kind of I think with this performance, I know it's one game, but I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder why it didn't happen earlier, especially when that was the longest streak in the NFL by a very large margin. And something you have to wonder is, was there now a weight lifted off of the Steelers after doing this, and now their offense can really come to life? Because having over 40 yards of offense is a really good day. Pat Freiermuth had 9 receptions for 122 yards. Him as a tight end prospect, I always thought he was really good, but he's never really jumped onto the scene. And now, 9 for 120 is a very, very impressive stat line, even though he didn't catch a touchdown pass.
Yeah, and it just seemed like I know I didn't get to see the game live, but it seemed like Kenny Pickett was doing better, which kind of goes into like how important having a good OC is for a young quarterback and just quarterback in general.
Yeah, it's definitely, and the quarterback is definitely a confidence position. And when you're not getting a lot of yards, and that's kind of your job, I know technically it's passing, but you're making audibles. You're deciding when to run a lot of the time. So making those decisions, it affects you as a player. And I do think that we could see Kenny Pickett in this offense start to improve. And with that, the Steelers don't have the hardest schedule in the world. They are 7-4 now, I believe, and that puts them in a really good spot moving forward. And the way their defense is played with Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt, I don't think this team's in a bad spot at all.
Yeah, I definitely don't. And like they still had a great record even with Matt Canada. So I think this just goes to this may be a pressure off their offense, but can they do better and just do just enough? Because this defense is insane. And I think it just goes to what Mike Tomlin preaches for his team.
Yeah, and I do think there was apparently an argument in the Steelers locker room after losing the game against the Browns between Deontay Johnson and Minka Fitzpatrick. But I do think you need to understand as a player, as a coach, that as long as you're winning games consistently, there's no real reason to be firmly upset with one result. And I do think the way they win games may be not what a lot of people want to see, but the consistency that is there with Mike Tomlin is something to behold.
Yeah, and you bring up, I was thinking about bringing up Deontay Johnson because did you see the clip of him during a live part of the game today?
I did not.
So he was kind of just walking around and there was a live fumble, and he really didn't make an effort to it. And I was like, wow, it seems like I'm not a huge fan of Deontay Johnson as a wide receiver, but just if you're going to have that level of effort or lack of effort in the Steelers, I'm very curious on what happens with him because it seems like a very sudden change because I know a lot of people are high on him just in general for the Steelers.
Yeah, and last season he had no receiving touchdowns like the whole year or the whole year, and that can affect you mentally as well. I do think that this team moving forward will be better. And while whether Deontay Johnson's a part of the solution or not, I really do enjoy watching Pat Fryermuth and George Pickens start to play better. Najee Harris had one of his best games of the season. Everybody on the team had one of the best games of the season, and that's really encouraging if you're a Steelers fan.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm very intrigued on what happens with George Pickens and Kenny Pickett, but also Najee Harris because when he was drafted, it was a lot of like, okay, this is going to fix the offense. They're going to have a bell cow now. They haven't had a bell cow or legitimate guy since Le'Veon Bell. I know James Conner was there, but just seemed like the hype around him, and it seems like he hasn't really lived up to it.
Yeah, but I think that he still could be really, really good because his yards per carry is fine. That it's just I think a part of schematic issues, and we'll have to see if that's true. Though we'll have to see if he can be the player that they expected him to be when they drafted him as high as they did.
Yeah, and so now we go to close this out, the guy calling the plays. I think this is a big thing for him. It's Eddie Faulkner. He was the running backs coach in January. He was named the running backs coach for the Steelers in 2019, and he became the interim guy after Matt Canada was fired. But really seems like he was in college, and I'm just curious, like, what could this do? Like, if he takes this offense to new levels, which he kind of already has, but that's because the levels were so low. What could this mean for his future in becoming a full-time offensive coordinator, maybe for the Steelers or someone else? So I'm curious if you have any thoughts on what you want to see from him as an offensive coordinator.
Consistency, but going on to if he will stay with the team long term, the Steelers don't like to make moves, and if he is an obvious better option, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I don't think they will. I don't think Mike Tomlin is the type of person to have a lot of trust in someone that he puts at the job, and he obviously decided that he was the guy to be the new OC, and him making a decision, I feel like should give a vote of confidence not just to players, but obviously him as a person.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And do you have any final thoughts before we close this out?
No, but I'm excited that the streak has ended because that was kind of crazy how long it went.
Yeah, I wasn't really aware of the streak, but that is crazy to see how it ended. And that's all we got for y'all. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.